is, who has brought you all the most horrific highlights from this Friday the 13th final chapter, Creep Show, Dawn of the Dead, Maniac.
Give it off and I've got $100 for that then.
Okay. Well, okay, I think what I'll do first is go down the line and talk about all these little things, and I'll answer your question. Oh, we have an hour? All night, yeah. Okay. This is Fluffy, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to work with it? Sure. Fluffy is from Creep Show, of course. Hey, that's enough. Come on. Can't hear you anyway. Maybe you can. Through this tube, we pumped glycerin, so it looked like he was always salivating. And this tube, we... That was to make him breathe. Which one you got there? Oh, yeah, these are there. What you already got? Both of you was the one here. The lower lip broke on the last convention. They just really haven't had time to fix it. And those are the eyebrows. See, an actor was inside, there's special lenses in his eyes that made him look like cat eyes, you know? And so all he could do inside that costume was move the eyes around, and all the facial expressions were operated off camera by the remote control. So because of that, because the actor was so constrained, he could move his arms a little bit, but because he was so constrained in that thing, for quick attacks, like when he gobbled up Adrian Barbeau or something like that, he goes for the puppet. Hey, where'd that hand go, by the way? Throw in. Okay, that's for the, these teeth are made of rubber. So we could actually grab and bite and twist and turn. But the teeth, but the teeth in this head, they'll cut you. They're razor sharp and they're made of hard dense acrylic. But like I said, I've never used any of that. But for this, we could actually zoom out or do fast turns. Just, you know. So we could cut from the main fluffy here to this one. And all you would think was that this fluffy was making that facial expression. And leave the fluffy mouth. There's a strong spring in there that keeps it closed. Okay, well, Nate's corpse. Nate's corpse is made. What happened was the actor that played Nate when he was alive, I never got to see the guy. I knew his name was John Larmer, and I saw his picture, just a portrait of him. And I recognized him from like Twilight Zone episodes and things like that. But I kept asking them, I said, well, how big is this guy? And they said, oh, he's a huge, big guy, tall, huge. I said, well, great, let's get a small guy, a really skinny guy. And I'll do the rather corpulent skinny guy, so it'll be less in the way Nate really is in life. And that was a good idea. But then the guy showed up and he was like a skeleton. He was really skinny. But in the movie, you only saw him sitting down and they patted him so well. This is, of course, sculpted over his life, over the thin guy, John Nicholas, the guy who played Martin, over his life mask. It's covered with Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies.
Ugly breakfast.
Remember the scene where he had maggots? Well, the guy inside the suit didn't want to do. He didn't want to do the suit and have maggots crawling all over him. I said, I don't blame him. So some girl on the set got inside. I'm sure the maggots all over him. This is just a. There was a scene that was cut from Creep Show where a guy gets blasted by a shotgun blast. You didn't get to see it. And then later on, she pulls the guy out on a morgue slab, and the cat's face is gone. This was just an extra head I had of the guy. And I did a haunted house in North Carolina last Halloween. And just redecorate this here to look like that. Oh, God. I want to get that back. You have to now. Want to lock those doors or something? Oh, here. You can't believe how much stuff. When I get home and I'm happy, well, where did that go? You know, okay, this is from Friday the 13th, the final chapter. The way that worked, you saw this come around the guy's neck, and they cut to his feet, or they cut to his ceiling or something, and then you put this one on him. With this little, see that groove cut out of it? That would go on his neck like that. It would pump the blood through there. This way the blood came out of the weapon and didn't have to come out of the guy. So I try to use the real person, the real actor, as much as possible because, obviously a real person acts a lot more alive than, say, a headboard, of course, a living guy, a living mouth. So I try to make all the blood come out of the instrument. This is, I think this is done. No, this is the prowler. Oh, yeah. Looks like it's cutting my neck knife. Okay, this is Friday the 13th. The final chapter. Okay. This is when Jason gets the machete down the hand. I hold this lever and watch him here. Okay, put it there. This way, when Jason looked at his hand and the blood was coming out, he still gets some bruises in the fingers. This was all done so quickly. There's a lot more sophisticated ways of doing this, but this was the fastest way to do it. This was when Jason punches through the steps and grabs the girl by the leg, and she hits him with a machete. You didn't get to see it in the film; it was too dark. But there's a slice in the wrist. I don't know if you can see it there. So we would hold it closed, and when the machete went by, we would just pull it, stick it, snap open like that. And there'd be a little bit of blood inside. I did a film. John Savage and Keith Carradine. And there's this nightmare sequence where John Savage is lying in bed and he's having this nightmare about rats, diseased rats. So I bought 3 large white rats, albino rats with red eyes, and I sprayed them brown with food coloring. Because if the rats licked it off, I didn't want them to get sick and die. So the night before we did the scene, I'm spraying the rats with food coloring. First I had to put them to sleep. So I took a quick course at the University of Pittsburgh on how to, the veterinary school, on how to do it. And so we put a Dixie cup with cotton, metaphane, I think it was called. Hold the rat, he falls over, you move it away, you spray him, he starts to move the cup back over his face. So I did that, and the next morning at 5:30, I got up to take them to the set, they were completely white again, they had like everything on them. So then I sprayed them again real quick, and I sprayed them with, after that I sprayed them with this plastic sealer. So they couldn't think about it. I mean, they tried to lick it off, but I guess they gave up because they couldn't figure it. Anyway, this is one of the rats. This is a rubber rat. Now, he also has Rice Krispies on him. Rice Krispies to look like diseased growths, Now, I swear to God, this happened. I'm packing my stuff to go to the set. There's a knock on my door in Pittsburgh, and this little girl was against the door. She said, "Hi, I'm from the Pittsburgh Environmental something or other. Do you have any problems with mice or rats in there?" So I said, yeah, wait a minute. I grabbed this rack. It was in my bag, and she appeared in the middle of the street screaming and disappeared. The boss came by later on in the day and said, what happened here? We almost lost that girl. So anyway, this rack, the live rack that we see crawling around on John Savage's bed, eventually crawls into his mouth and down his throat. And the back end of the rack is like sticking out, acting very alive. So for that, I had to build this mechanical rack, half a rack actually. So he would put it in his mouth, and his tongue would operate the tail. Like that. We flick the switch. Well, it's not working. Anyway, the legs would jump up and down. I know that's a big, in the toilet without effect. Okay. What else? Oh, Jason. Okay, now, I don't know what does what here, but anyway, Alan, I know it does. Okay, watch the top of his head. Yeah, hold on. Okay, tilt him forward a bit. Yeah, okay, now watch the top of his head. In his head. And they did a close-up of your head kind of splitting off. Now, Al, if you still hold him up, I'll try to do it. What's that doing? See this because, the light isn't on him. It's a great echo effect in here. Who needs the mic? Okay, I'll just talk over. No. All right, what else? I don't know. Okay. You see his eyebrow above the cut? Turn it. Yeah. See the eyebrow? Oh, yeah. All right. This way the machete was in him, but he still had life above it. Let's see. You may have already tried it. Oh, okay. That's that.
Pretty original, man.
Anyway, that's Jason. You put it down. Where's my head? Is it still here? Yeah. Ah, good. Are the eyes still in it? Oh. What else? Ah, that's it. Any questions? Yeah.
How many people at one time would be operating Jason?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 or 8. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you doing any work on Creepshow 2?
Creepshow 2 is on the back burner somewhere. I don't know what they're going to do with that. See, Laurel is doing a TV series now called Tales from the Dark Side. 24 episodes. And once they got that, I guess that's when Creepshow got bumped out. I think what they're doing is, pardon?
Are you doing any work on the TV series?
Oh yeah, I just came from directing an episode called The Closet. And that'll be on before the November sweeps. Which is what I was going to tell you. I think what they're doing is seeing which director of the show, because they got a different director for each episode, which one they think could, possibly direct Creepshow 2. Hopefully I do it. I'd love to do it. Creepshow, Day of the Dead will be starting.
Yeah!
I see a lot of Dawn of the Dead t-shirts floating around. So obviously there are some fans of that movie. I can tell you this. You can lower your hands until I'm finished with this, and that won't be long. Day of the Dead, George Romero will be directing it, and he had a choice between two versions. One would be a $6 million 3D spectacle, which he turned down, to do a $3 million unrated, guaranteed distribution.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, do it all.
So we're going to be able to show anything.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a couple things about it. One, they discover something new about zombies. Two, it's going to be, I wanted to say worse than Dawn of the Dead. It's going to be more action-packed, and there's a lot more effects, and the script is more gore, of course. Okay, yes.
Are you going to do anything on George Romero's version of The Stand?
The Stand, I don't know when they're going to do that, but when they do, I hope I work on it. They also have, George also owns the rights to Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
everything, actors, makeup, what else? He also has a Dr. Five script, another. So these are all things that, I don't know how many years or when the stand's going to be done. I don't know anything like that, except I do know we're shooting Day of the Dead at the beginning of October, either in Florida or Pittsburgh. It involves lots of crocodiles, alligators, and at this point it's 4 or 5 years later, and there are more zombies now on the earth than there are people. Yeah.
Are the same characters going to be?
No. This is 4 years later, and unless he changes his mind, right now he has no intentions of using anything. Because it would also go to a different part of the country. He was looking in Pittsburgh at missile sites, Nike missile sites, because they had these huge elevators in these underground caves. So, is that a gremlin? No. No, you're wrong, yeah. But I dare not tell you any more about that, because I hate when a movie comes out that I've got to hide in my house and not look at a magazine or a newspaper or turn the news on without hearing the Spock is coming back. I want to be surprised by all that stuff, so I want to move the same way. Right there.
What's the most people you killed
What's amazing is maybe Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I didn't realize until the Fangoria issue came out that we killed exactly 13 people in that. I had no idea. Probably Friday the 13th, press forward. Way back there, yeah. I'll get you in a second.
Are you creating a book, or do you know of any book that shows you how to produce mechanical effects like inside a book?
Well, did you ever see Grand Illusions? Michael? No. I know, it's not... I know I talk about it in the book, and perhaps it isn't as specific as it could be. See, my feeling is that when you have to make mistakes and learn something the hard way, it's more valuable. At least it was for me. I made every mistake that I could possibly make as I grew up learning this stuff. Not that I did that intentionally, it's just that there's only so much I can put in one book, and I was in a rush, I'm talking into a tape recorder. So the book is meant to be kind of... here's basically how we did it. Here's basically a blood formula. Here's basic. Well, the foam latex is pretty specific, but that's right from Dick Smith. But I don't know. Vincent Kehoe has a new book coming out at the end of this year. A lot of it is from Dick Smith, and he's collected. Like he's using my casting ahead thing, which is really Dick Smith. He's using something from Rob O.T., something from Rick Baker. So I'm sure there'll be something about how to do this. For me, it was the first time. I actually called Rob O.T. before I did this and asked him, how do you do it? And he spent like an hour and a half on the phone explaining in detail, and I was taping him how to do it. And, that was my first try. So, you gotta stop plotting. No, you? Yes.
What do you take for each job?
Is the IRS in here? What an obnoxious question. Yeah, for each job, it varies, of course. Now, what I used to do early on was give them a figure, then I would pay. Where'd you go? You asked me. Okay. And then I would pay for all the assistants. I would pay for all the materials. Just lately, I found it smarter to ask for a fee, and then they pay for anything because I still have my fee. And then I ask for anything I want, and then they give it to me.
Tom, right here. What is it?
Yeah, I'm still answering
Put this
your
together.
question. What?
This together, what does it cost?
Oh, this? Again, I don't know because they...
Estimate, how many thousands?
It's really hard to say.
Over 10,000?
No. Well, if you count the amount of time and how much everybody's being paid, probably, around 10,000. I know that Fluffy cost about $468 material-wise, But then you buy it and you use some of it, and there's Fluffy, but you still got half a bottle of this, a half a tank. So it's hard to say. Let me try to give you an example of how much. Did you ask me how much I was making or how much it cost? How much I was making? I can't tell you. I'll give you a rough example, right? Creepshow got me a BMW video, a 7-foot television screen, and about 30 videotape movies, and money in the bank. From that second on, I knew that life would not be worth living unless I could be doing special makeup, acting, doing stunts, I just had to do all that stuff. And it wasn't just, I thought, that might be fun. It was like I went crazy. I really went mad. And I was dedicated to it. I just devoted myself to it. I hated school. Really, I shined shoes in my neighborhood for like getting makeup supplies. I did, practical jokes, just weird things. Then, let's see, I was doing local commercials. I built a makeup kit. I read more and more and got sophisticated supplies. I was doing there's a local horror show called Chiller Theater, and I was doing monsters for that thing. Went to the Army, went to Vietnam, had a makeup kit in Vietnam. Came back, did 6 years of theater, got back in touch with George Romero. He was doing Martin. I auditioned for The Vampire. It was already cast. I showed him my portfolio. He hired me to do Martin. Then I got a telegram from him that said, we got another gig, call me. I was in the South. And I called him, he said, start thinking of ways to kill people. And that was Dawn of the Dead. And Dawn of the Dead made a fortune. So then I got Friday the 13th, and that went crazy and made a fortune. So I was in the right place at the right time with the portfolio. And those are key ingredients, okay? You can be better than any makeup artist in this country, but unless you can prove it to somebody that's important, to your career, it doesn't do anything. But I was in the right place at the right time, I think. So I never wanted to go to Hollywood, never wanted to go to New York, because I had friends that were going there, and they were still being a waitress or still driving a cab. So when I eventually got there, I was doing a movie, because Hollywood came to me. George Romero lives in Pittsburgh. There you go. So now everyone's going to move to Pittsburgh. Yeah.
I recently read in Fangoria a rather disturbing, interview with you or whatever. They said something about you were thinking about leaving Splatter. Now, please tell me that's untrue.
Please. What do I do? Go for it. Go for it. Well, even in the films where I've done monsters, there's always a little bit of splatter, And my feeling is that, my name was very closely attached to splatter. Even in some movies where they were talking about the splatter, they would say the Savini-like effect. So my name became synonymous with splatter. I would rather have my name get out there with splatter than not ever get out there. See, so my name is out there with splatter, and now I hope to make the transition to just doing monsters. All the big makeup artists have done that. Dick Smith, The Godfather, Taxi Driver, blood gore. He's tried to get away from that. The Sentinel, I think The Sentinel turned him off to it. Rick Baker, Incredible Mountain Man, It's Alive, blood gore, transition, monsters, American Werewolf, all that stuff. I hope that I've done the same thing. The last 3 films I've done were just monsters. With some splatter. Hey, before is karaoke in here? Okay. At the award ceremony for the Film Search Awards, somebody asked me the same question. Is it true you're giving up splatter? And I said, yes, but I'm on my way to do Friday the 13th, Part 4. So I just said I'm making the transition. I'm going to be doing Day of the Dead, so back and forth. So anyway, hopefully I'll get known for other things than just splatter. If this TV thing is successful, which it will be, I'm telling you, it's the scariest thing I've ever seen on TV. And you've never seen, so I don't want to give away what happens, but if that's successful, then hopefully I'll get some directing work out of that. But see, the more you do, the more you get to do. Okay, you do stunts, fine, we'll make you do a stunt. You take still photography, we'll make you do some photography. You direct, fine, you can direct. I think it's really smart to be versatile, and because you work more. In England, if you do one thing, they don't believe that you can possibly do another. I'm glad America's not like that. Yeah. Oh, I had you. Yeah. What?
You acted a lot in Dawn of the Dead, Nightmares. You haven't seemed to act a lot anymore. Are you going to continue to act?
Yeah, I try to play a small role in everything I do effects for, but Friday the 13th, there was no time. I went in on that like in the second week after they started shooting. You're supposed to get like 4 or 5 weeks, a month, something, in pre-production. I went in right where they were shooting, and the work was just 24 hours a day, There's no time for me to play a part. I'd love to play a part in Day of the Dead if I have time. Acting-wise, I got a script. The guy who did Friday the 13th, Part 4, called me and wanted me to play a Vietnam toughie that they're shooting in the Philippines right now. I couldn't do it because I was doing the TV series, and because I knew I'd be starting Day of the Dead. So the offers are there. Some guy wants me to do a new version of. Did you ever see a movie called Deranged?
Yeah.
Deranged, okay.
Yeah.
It's a true story about the guy that Psycho was based on, and it's another telling of this Ed Gein guy, the guy that really dug up his mother and he had her sitting in the dining room. True story. He sent me the newspaper accounts and really grotesque pictures of what he was doing to his victims. And he wanted me to play the deputy sheriff whose mother is a victim of this guy. Couldn't do that either because I went to do Friday the 13th. So the offers are there. You don't make money though. I mean, not that I'm out just to make money, but as an actor, sometimes you get scale. When I do this stuff, I ask for anything I want, you know, and usually they give it to me. But I have been turning down the splatter films. I got a script where the murder weapon was a Cuisinart, okay? I got another script where the murder weapon was a Swiss Army knife and the guy was killing individual people with different implements. So I turned that down. So acting, we'll just see what
I don't
happens.
see how you can do Day of the Dead because you're killed off in Dawn.
Oh, you as an actor?
Yeah.
Oh, well, in Dawn of the Dead, I played maybe 4 or 5 different zombies. I did all the stunts in Dawn of the Dead. So I was always becoming a different zombie to do a stunt that killed them. You know? Yeah.
I heard that George Romero was going to do a version of Frankenstein. Would you be interested in that?
I'd give my left foot to do that. What happened was he went to, hang on. He went to PBS with 3 ideas: a Frankenstein story, a Western, and an idea that I asked him to go with them with, and that would be a remake of Man of 1,000 Faces, with me playing Lon Chaney, and doing the makeup the way it was done in those days, nose putty, using no modern makeup techniques. And the only one they liked was the Man of 1,000 Faces idea. But they went off to do some historical thing, and that's on the back burner too. The Frankenstein thing George is crazy about, hopefully someday doing... You asked me, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I keep looking at the wrong people, because I keep going off on tangents. So that he would most definitely like to do. But you know, he's going to be very busy with, he has to do Day of the Dead, he has to do Pet Sematary, and he has to do The Stand. So, who knows? If he doesn't play, I mean, there's a new Frankenstein thing coming on, what is it, HBO?
Showtime.
Showtime, yeah. It has?
Yeah.
I missed myself on David Letterman.
I can send it. You have a card?
So busy.
You can borrow my tape.
Card?
Go ahead.
Our number, I can call you.
I'm getting it.
Well, if Part 4 makes enough money, the formula works for them, see. The guy who financed that lives in Boston, okay? He sends the money to California, and they do a film, and then the money starts rolling back in. Friday the 13th, Part 4 made $6 million the first day, $11 million that very same weekend, and it just skyrocketed until it did a nosedive, but I think it's over $50 million. So I would say they're either going to do that, or I heard they're going to do The Last House on the Left, Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'll get you in a second, okay?
Let's work this on the networks. What do you
Get you in a second.
With Tales from the Dark Side?
Yes.
All right. I thought it was going to be on CBS, but it's not going to be on CBS. It's going to be on, it's going to be a syndicated show. It will play on one of the cable networks. Now, there's maybe 3 drops of blood in my episode that I directed. However, see, you won't believe this from me, but I think the less you show the audience, the better it is, okay? If you let the audience complete it in their own mind, they make it sometimes worse than you can possibly physically create it. Now, that's not true of my episode either. See, I don't want to give anything away, but it's really, really scary. It's really scary. It scared me, it's not even edited yet, you know? So, trust me and thank me for not giving it away, because when you see it, I hope, you know, if it goes in the toilet, fine, I'll just do special effects from now on. Yeah, right there. I'm sorry, I'll get you a second.
What was the most complicated steps you ever told us to do and why?
Complicated? I think fluffy, because I had never done anything like that before. It was a total unknown. And I was being really careful, step by step. If I made a mistake, it would cost us time. Time is the worst thing to deal with making a film. Because remember I said that in Friday the 13th, I went in the middle or second week after they started shooting? Okay, that's when the crew is hired, and that's when it starts costing you $30,000, $40,000 a day, okay? You lose a day and they start coming down on you, the pressure is incredible. Not as bad for me as it is for the guys who work with the studios, like Dick Smith, Dick Baker. And it really aggravates me that those guys are constantly robbed of credit for things. Rick Baker and King Kong, they would always call him quality. Dick Smith was supposed to win the Academy Award this year for The Hunger. Didn't get it. The guy should have gotten the Academy Award 50 years ago. All the makeup colors that Max Factor uses were invented by Dick Smith. No credit. But I'm going off on a tangent again. So anyway. I would say fluffy was the most complicated thing. Yeah, make it.
Was there many sex
No, I think everything I did was in. No, wait, there's a scene, you saw it. Remember the little kid Tommy is showing the backpacker his room? He shows him that puppet?
Yeah.
4 seconds later, he walks over to this table and there's this huge guillotine sitting there, okay? And he puts a pencil in and says, watch this. And he goes, chops the pencil in half.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, now watch this. And he puts his hand in there. And he chops his fingers, go right off, and they fall on the table. The guy goes, oh my God! See? The kid pulls out his fake hand and says, neat trick. So that was cut. Maybe because, I don't know why it worked. I think because we were shooting it. And the kid who was in that was also the kid in Gremlins. Yeah, Corey Feldman.
Steve Keeler.
It was so complicated to get him to not put his hand in there when we put the real blade in the guillotine. He had to grab his hand at one point and stop it because he was about to really chop his fingers off. So, film-wise, I don't think they would buy the fact that if he puts his hand in, the guy standing so close would not be aware of a fake hand going in, But that was their decision. But there was enough in that did give him Toby.
Yeah. What suggestions would you have other than the portfolio for someone who wishes to get into it professionally?
To get into it professionally? Well, on this coast, I would say you got a good chance. In California, every 2 feet there's a guy with a portfolio who's doing films out there. The competition is incredible out there. Again, I'm lucky it's East Coast. There's Dick Smith, there's Arnold, there's guys like Tom Rotten, there's Ed French, Not that crazy over here, like around New York. So those things are still true, though. Portfolio, talent, okay. If there's 9 guys with a portfolio, job. And there aren't any papers or publications that say, hey, there's a movie starting out tomorrow, go for it. It seems like the unions control it a little bit, The things about being in the right place, talent, portfolio, and don't be like I did. When I was growing up, I never wrote letters to anybody. I sat back and said, if it's going to happen to me, then it'll come to me. But maybe I was lucky because it did come to me. Anybody else, I would say, make phone calls, write letters. If you have pictures, send them to people, because we don't. Dick Smith is not aggravated when he gets, mail. I'm not aggravated. I get pictures from people and I start a file, And then if I'm in that area and I need somebody in that area, because it's easier to hire somebody there when you tell the producers that than saying, I got to fly somebody in from California. Forget it. Who's around here? So that's why you start files on people. So that's the way to do it. In portfolio, being in the right place at the right time, talent, be pushy, but not too pushy. And knowing what's happening is like, you gotta know what's happening. Don't come to Pittsburgh, that's my character. Yeah.
You said in Fango that you might have burned Jason State's pot with one of those kids' gadgets. Would you rather have killed him that way, or do you have to do it?
No, I think they were right. See, one of my assistants on Friday the 13th, part 4, had the idea there was really science fiction-y kind of death. And when I called the guy in Boston with it, they said it was really a great idea. And he said, nah, see, Friday the 13th, this is what Friday the 13th is about. It's about killing naked teenagers. I swear to Silicon Valley. Killing naked teenagers with things around the house, things that you can grab, So the idea that this guy had was that when we established Tommy in the film as being this whiz with makeup, he's also a whiz with little inventions like electricity and things. And we were going to show a microwave oven that he had taken apart, taken the microwave projector and put a reflector behind it to direct the ray. And we were going to do a scene where it's sitting there and he puts a toy soldier, a plastic soldier in front of it. And he has this variable transformer that goes from 1 to, say, 50, turns it to like almost 1, and it melts toy soldier. And the guy goes, wow, that's incredible. Then you never see it again until Jason is fighting them at the end. And during this fight, the kid was going to grab that and stick it into Jason's face and turn up 10. see. And we were going to show Jason's head start to steam and the eyes bulge out and bubble and burst and the skin flailing away. And then like pressure cooking his head, just have to go, you know. But he didn't go for that. He said, no, it's too science fiction-y. Then he stated again the formula. So I came up with the idea of how to kill Jason. And you know, I think it kind of worked because I'm sitting in the theater watching this, and I usually pick out somebody in the audience, and I don't watch the screen, I watch them. And when that happened, I was causing heart attacks everywhere. It really was good. And it was gross, and that's what they expect, so, yeah.
How come they cut the mortuary scene from Creepshow?
Oh, why did they do that?
One of us had to
Yeah, see what happens is George's partner, Richard Rubenstein, who was also the producer, whenever George gives him the finished film, says, here it is, he automatically says, okay, cut 10 more minutes out. Just instinctively, thinking that the director, it's his baby, is too indulgent, you know, no matter what it looks like. Just without even looking at the film, he says, okay, cut 10 more minutes out. So, but in this case, it was more militant thing to say, you got to cut like 3 or 4 minutes out. So they cut the morgue scene, and since this was part of the morgue scene, couldn't very well leave it in. It was just out of context, so I think that's why it left. Who else? Yeah.
What made you want to do it?
What made me want to do it? I turned part 2 down, I turned part 3 down because I thought it was stupid, okay? They sent me the scripts on that. The reason I did part 4 is a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to be the one that killed Jason. Okay? I got sick and tired of Jason. I mean, he set him on fire, run over him with a steamroller, and he still comes back. So I said, I'm going to kill this guy, okay? Plus, it was the final chapter. Since I began it, I wanted to be remembered for a guy who finishes what he starts, okay? I gave Jason his birth. I thought it's only fitting I should give him his death, as Dr. Frankenstein does. Plus, they paid me a fortune. Yeah. I'll get you a second. That was a big mistake to give Dawn of the Dead an R rating. But you notice that they quickly put it right back in. You know, for the videotape, it's the unrestricted version. I don't know why they did it. It was stupid, and they realized it, and then they changed it. Who? Richard Rubenstein, the producer, you know. But I just talked to him like 2 or 3 days ago, and, you know, like I said, he realized it was a big mistake. Yeah, you have another question. Yeah?
Is Day of the Dead going to continue the story of Peter and Fran, or is it going to have new characters?
No, we're a totally different part of the country. I worry about that because people are going to expect her baby to be born, what's it going to look like, you know. I promise you, if we did do that version, it wouldn't look like the baby in V. Sherry Lewis and the Muppets. Lamb chop. Oh, yeah.
Yes, Tom, let me ask you, do you supply Jason's outfit? What type of outfit is that?
Well, it's just a continuation of what he's always been wearing.
What is it?
I guess just work clothes. See, Jason should not have survived part 1 because he wasn't even alive in part 1, right? That's why I turned part 2 and I said, this is really dumb. You can't, I mean, Jason's only alive in the mother's head. So, you know, they hired me to perform a service. Yeah. Oh, all right. I lost my place. Oh, where did I hit? Is this thing out? See, it's the unions that are causing all the trouble with the Academy Awards and stuff. And personally, I'm not in the union. I never had to be. And with independent films, there's no reason to be. Then unions? As far as what? Oh, you mean to apprentice or something? That might happen, but see, when you're doing a film, you don't want to take the time to teach somebody, depending on them to help you, okay? Now, let's say you went in as a production assistant, you went as a gopher. You would be around it all. Like, for Creepshow, there was a guy who started out as an errand boy and wound up as an assistant director. So what you do is to physically get yourself in there, sweep the floors, whatever. And
attention, please. Attention, please. We apologize for the inconvenience. The fire department has responded and investigated the cause of the alarm and has given the all-clear status. Once again, we apologize for the inconvenience. The fire department has responded and investigated the cause of the alarm and has given all-clear status.
take a seat, please?
Let's get control again.
Oh, those are my seats right there. All right. You better get the same one.
Okay, we only have 10 more minutes left, and I'll try to answer as many as I can within that time. Oh, sure. Now, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but when this is over, are we going to a special place to sign autographs? No, we don't want everybody to run just mosey out to the hallway there. All right. Well, there's a table now. We just have to line go out. No? All right. Okay, when this is over, instead of rushing the stage, it's not a good idea, I will go out in the hallway to sign autographs, and we can take pictures together and stuff like that, okay? So don't come here, go there, and I'll meet you out there, all right? What? I can't hear you. Oh, so far, but maybe.
Let me know it's fine.
Pardon? My fly is open? Who pulled my fly down?
What type? Phone?
This is about phone. Yes.
Dude, which video?
Wait a minute. How did we get? What? You weren't there. And you weren't there.
I just came up to get here because I thought there was a fire.
Oh.
And I got
We're going to beat it out. No, I'm
to get out before I get birthday.
Yeah, I really don't. That's the first time that's ever happened. Okay, here we go. We're organized again. Yes. Yeah. Tom, to my friends.
How long did you have in pre-production?
3 months. But it took 5 months to build, so. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell us on the dark side when it starts. Does it start already?
When the new TV season begins. My episode will be on before the November sweeps. I think I'm the 4th episode, but look for it. It's called Inside the Closet. I hope to change that, though, to The Closet. I have no idea. I think it's WGN. And, well, see, it's individual. It'll be different ones all over. Like the Muppet Show. Yeah, Muppet Show. Now, okay, you haven't had a question. Wait, I can't hear, okay? Yeah. No, but what I have done is I do anything. When you're hired by a film company, my attitude is whatever the director says is law. Now, I used to, when I first started out, I was really stubborn, okay? I'm a Scorpio, and like I have been dragged screaming out of a room because I didn't get my box lunch that day. I mean, I would argue, you can't do this. No, wait, blah, 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 blah. Now my attitude has changed, not recently, but a while back. Whatever the director says now, okay, even if I have a better way of doing it, or I think whatever he wants, I give him. So, wait, what was your question? Oh, yeah. No, I do anything they say, but what I have done, like I did Maniac, so when I did that film, I said, God, you guys can't possibly get away with showing this. And they showed everything that we did for Maniac.
How much you got there?
Award-winning stop-motion animation movies that are featuring a character called Rob. And he's also done monster effects for The Deadly Spawn, and he's working on a new project, which he'll tell you about. And on my left is someone I think you've heard of. In addition to doing the makeup effects on Friday the 13th, Creep Show, and Dawn of the Dead, he's also an actor and a stuntman, and he has his book out under a new title, formerly Brain Illusions, now under the title of Bizarro. Tom Savini. We'd like to start off with these two gentlemen showing some of the tools of their trade. And we'll start off with John Dodds with some slides of his work.
Yeah, I have some slides from the motion picture, The Deadly Spawn.
Well, those of you who were here yesterday saw all this stuff, but I'll be glad to go through again. Fluffy. It's a fluffy pocket from Creep Show. You like it? No, not you. I was talking to her. But you can like it. Boy, he's really falling apart. arm's made of foam latex. There's a fiberglass skull in there. And, these teeth are rubber. Because the teeth in this rubber head right down here, which is the main fluffy, which was worn by the actor, and the actor wore these special lenses that made him look like he had cat eyes in his head. Once the actor was in that, he couldn't move around really well because of this heavy foam suit. And so all he could do was move the eyes, and we would operate all the facial expressions from off camera. But the teeth are real sharp, so because of all those reasons, the immobility, and because the teeth were sharp, we built this fluffy puppet that could turn fast and jump out real quick. And latch on to people like Adrian Barbeau. Gobbled her up in 3 bites. With these rubber teeth. Oh, there was also, if you saw it, there was a scene where the student gets bitten on the side of his head. When we did that, it was the same thing like what Arnold did, with under-sculpting all the gore and stuff, and then putting the piece on top of it to look like the outside of the vaginal face. And that was attached with Velcro to the inside roof of Fluffy's mouth. So we positioned Fluffy's head on the guy's head with that Velcro piece attached to Fluffy. And when he bit and moved away, we just pumped blood through it and it looked like he or she bit a chunk. It makes it some people, when they refer to Fluffy, saying, well, how is she? How is he? I think it's a little grisly to think of her as a she. You know what I mean? Okay, well, maybe not. Okay, let me see what Fluffy does here. Huh? I think I can use one individually. Can you see Fluffy over there? Okay. They're all spinning around. I'll start over this side. Go over there. This is, of course, what made Fluffy breathe. Of course, we didn't stand there and do this all day. What a fun. Then through this tube, we pumped glycerin with a little bit of color to make it look like Fluffy was always golden. Of course, it was Adrian Barbeau. Okay, this is... Well, that's the eyebrow. You can see that she's just easy, or she is just falling apart. It's foam latex, and I hear that the ozone up in the air eats foam latex.
What kind of latex?
This is bow foam, or strain foam.
You still use bow foam?
No, the last thing I did for this T-shirt, which I'll show you a picture of, I'm trying not to spoil the illusion, but I used R&D to just whip it up. And it was really a soft and stretchy. I've never seen it react. But we decided this is the first film we ever used strand foam to experiment. It's supposed to last long. I guess if it was R&D, it would have lasted this long. How old was Creepshow? That was 81. 81. So 3 years old. She was rotting. Oh, that'll be fun to put another face on her. Okay, these are the teeth. Our lower mouth opens also, but this one broke the last convention. I really haven't had time to fix her. Anatomically, this isn't really correct because you see the wrinkles going down the front of her muzzle there. They should be going horizontal if her face is going to react that way. That was the first one I ever did, so... Maybe we'll be lucky and the fire alarm will go off today. This, of course, is Nate's corpse from the show. Nate was the guy that tops out of the grave. I want my cake. I want my cake, right? Anyway, Nate was sculpted over an actor, John Nicholas. And I made a foam mask from the sculpture and covered it with Rice Krispies. And really, Rice Krispies, we went outside and got little bits of weeds from the ground, stuck it in there. There's a mess of colors on here. Rice Krispie, white and green, moldy. And Rice Krispie, I thought it just made excellent looking like dirt and mud because he does come on the grave. Plus, we had lots of real dirt on the logo too. Then we covered it with maggots, you know. Is that Chewbacca? Whoa! Okay, hi. That scared me because the last convention, Anthony Daniels walked in on Sunday to do a C3PO breakfast cereal commercial. Well, actually, I can show you what's inside here. See, it's just the latex over a fiberglass skull and a fiberglass jaw, because when the guy opened his mouth, I wanted the whole jaw. Let's see if I can open it. That stringy stuff in the mouth. There used to be a lot more of that. Creepshow was kind of a takeoff on the EC comic books. Every time there's a monster or a ghost in one of those things, they always had this stringy stuff in the teeth. And that's just little bits of latex that we splash on the floor. When it dries, you pick it up and it's stringy monster goo. And this is Jason. We had a few Jasons in Friday the 13th. One was just a foam dummy this size for when she hits them with machetes and stuff. We counted all the things that happened to Jason before he actually died. It was like, see, a hammer in the neck, a machete in the chest, chainsaw, machete down the hand, a machete across the wrist. Well, he didn't quite survive the machete in the head. The hammer in the neck. No, I said that. The hammer in the neck. Now, where's that hammer? Let me show you the hammer. Okay. If you've seen the film, there is this scene where he's chasing our hero, a heroine, and she hits him right. You see that hand splitting radio? So he reaches out and she hits him in the hand with a machete, but his fingers are still moving. And he brings his hand in front of him and looks at it and says, "That hurt." And he goes after her some more. So we had to show his own fingers moving. And then of course we pumped blood through that tube. I was talking about there being a few Jasons. There were a few Fluffies too. There was this Fluffy, there was of course a Fluffy Puppet, but there was a third Fluffy that we built so we put a scuba regulator in the mouth for the underwater scene where he comes out of the crater. Same guy as in all the suits. This, so we could breathe in the water. Oh, Jason, let's make Jason do something. Let's see. Let's turn him around. Yesterday we tilted him forward. We'll just hold him back like that. And if you just watch the top of his head. So what happens is the blood is made of Cairo-surf and it gets really sticky. It's been in there for a long time. So now it's starting to stick together, but let's try that one again. Anyway, that's of course when the machete hit him. Let's see what this does. Keeps that eye turning. It might be a little hard to see from back here. It's going left and right. Of course, it's moved away from the skin. You see that? Yes. There's another one that makes it go up and down. Let's see what this does.
Any questions?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. DJ.
Yo.
When you went to a pre-show, you were saying you wanted to go to the license. What made you go back to Friday the 13th?
A couple of reasons. One, I turned down Friday the 13th Part 2, and I turned down Friday the 13th Part 3. But they told me this was the final chapter. And I did this without even looking at the script. I was in North Carolina, they called me on the phone. They said it was the final chapter. I agreed to do it because I wanted to be the one to kill Jason. You know? I created him, you know, I gave him his birth. I wanted to be the one to wipe him out. Plus, you know, like I said, they said it would be the last one, and they paid me a bloody fortune. I had him by the feet, you know, because they hired Greg Hancock to do it first, California, and Greg said he wanted to create his own Jason, and not from what I had started, which was perfectly logical. I would have said the same thing. But the director insisted that, which is what they were doing with all the Friday the 13th before. Like, nobody ever really, everyone came in and created their own Jason. So the director wanted my version, and then Greg went to do the Ozzy Osbourne Werewolf album cover or something. And he told everybody he was going, but then I guess it was political. Like, they just wanted to get rid of him. You know, it wasn't Greg's fault at all. And I didn't know any of this until I was out there. And it was his crew that became my crew. And when we got along okay, I just didn't get the story until I was there. So, in other words, instead of having the pre-production time before the movie began shooting to build anything, you know, it was in Greg's hands. So, when I say I had them because they were 2 weeks into shooting. And they would have offered me anything just to get me out there. So,
What's your opinion of the Italian zombie flicks and their effects?
the only one I saw was Zombie, okay? And it was like deja vu every 5 minutes. It was the same scene over and over again. Some dialogue, some sets, and I did like the eyeball effect. The eyeball effect.
Yeah, that's good.
The music was it was the same guys, wasn't it? Goblin or something?
Goblin.
That was like Goblin? Yeah. I read something here in reviews in Fangoria. Something about movies like Return of the Dead and Day of the Dead that's coming up is going to show the Italians how to make zombie movies. I'm Italian, so you know.
Do you guys have any advice on what beginning effects artists should learn right up front? John, you want to?
I did that one yesterday. You can do that.
About what they should learn. Well, things are really specialized today. I guess it's specialized in makeup and special effects and everything else. I mean, it's probably more true of special effects. I mean, so which the special effects artists learn, that would be a little more specialized. Makeup people seem like nowadays they're doing a much larger range of things than they were a few years ago, and it's gotten into the area that would formerly have been considered to be non-makeup types of effects, mechanicals, constructions. What Rick Baker did in Greystoke, or the kinds of things almost everybody who's working in makeup today is doing, involving not just altering the appearance of an actor, but doing constructions that aren't even attached to an actor, or constructions worn by an actor that really has nothing to do with altering his appearance. It's really a construction worn by an actor. Those things wouldn't have been considered makeup a few years ago, or maybe even aren't now, but makeup artists are doing those effects now. It seems like you have to know. I don't do makeup, but this is like a reversal. I don't do makeup, but I'm being forced to do a makeup on this film I'm working on. I do special effects and stop motion and constructions, but I guess it works both ways because I'm actually doing a makeup on this new film. Because I'm in charge of the whole sequence, I'm doing a makeup that's primarily mechanical and stop motion. That's my answer to the question. I don't know.
Well, I always, the thing I didn't say yesterday was, if you're talking about special makeup effects, it's like you said, Tom, it's more than just being a makeup artist. You have to be a psychologist, a chemist, a mechanical engineer, you know, a little bit of all that stuff. What else?
It seems like it's real hard nowadays to do a contemporary job of makeup effects and do it by yourself, which didn't used to be true. It used to be a person did the makeup on the film. But now with the complexities and mechanics of the cable control, it seems like we need help to make all those things.
So, let's see. Advice?
Tom, do you think there's a change in what horror producers want to get from their effects men compared to 5 years ago when we worked on Friday the 13th and Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, I think there's a change. Even the low-budget scripts that come out now are just full of outlandish effects. We keep having to top ourselves. The audiences are the ones that are getting smarter. They keep expecting more. But that's the thing. The more we show them, the more we have to keep on showing them. We have to keep outdoing ourselves. 5 years ago, I'd say things have changed in 5 years. If we saw when the Ten Commandments first came out, that was like the height, like the pinnacle of special effects for the day. But now we look at it, and it seems crude compared to what IRM is doing, and everything. It's like John said before, in 20 years from now, this stuff might be looked upon as crap. So makes it some more fun. Yeah.
Horror movies seem to go in certain sort of for a while. And now it's
The next step, you mean? I think what Dick Smith is doing right now is probably going to set a new standard, a new state of the art. There's a movie out, or coming out, called Dreamscape, where there's a thing in animation called it's replacement animation, where it's like the Pillsbury Doughboy or those characters when you see these little bottles of syrup talking, the mouth moves. Well, when the mouth moves, there might be like 12 different expressions, and they make 12 different heads. And so during the course of the thing talking, they simply replace the head with a different expression on the mouth, or replace the mouths, a whole different things. So for this dreamscape, this guy turns into this snake kind of creature. So Craig Reardon sculpted, 30 or 24, about 32 heads, and that's a little over a second as far as film goes. Film is 24 frames a second. So when the guy changed, they just replaced all these heads. There's 32 heads, which added up to a little over a second, going into the snake creature. I saw it, and I think they screwed it up later. I don't know what Craig did in the clean state. They did some dissolves in there and did some kind of flashing or something. And it went by so fast, you could hardly notice it. But what Dick's doing, for Starman, it's Dick Smith, Rick Baker, and Stan Winston working on it, like all together from various parts of the country, where an alien is just created before our very eyes, from the baby to the final stage, becomes Jeff Bridges. So I think Dick is sculpting. So Dick is sculpting or creating over 200 and some heads for a much longer sequence, and somewhere within the replacement animation of the heads, we're going to use changeover heads, where the mechanical heads actually change. So Rick Baker's doing the baby, and then Dick is doing from the baby to like middle teens or something, and I think Stan is going until it becomes Jeff Bridges. And that, and unless they screw it up somehow, the producers have a habit of doing it should be like a new level, a new standard, and it seems to always happen with guys like Dick Smith, Rick Baker. We're talking about the top men in the business. So I don't know when it's coming out, but that would be, without having seen the stuff, I would say that would be where we're headed. But then, where to go from there, I don't know. I hope the monsters come back, more monsters, the old monsters. They were supposed to remake the creature from the Black Lagoon a couple of years ago, and it never happened. I'd like to see that come back.
Started work on Day of the Dead?
Day of the Dead, I started working on that. I asked a guy to read the script for me and put a piece of tape on every page that had an effect on it and make a list after that of all the effects in it. And so far the tape has gone around 3 times in the script. There's about 157 special effects. This Monday or Tuesday I'm meeting producers to talk about maybe cutting back. Just to try to do that in 2.5 months. Well, of course we won't cut back. I mean, it's just fun to sit there and, please cut back, And then we'll say it's impossible, and we'll say go for it, and then we'll try it. Get as much fun as we can. But they're going to start shooting.
Tales from the Dark Side.
Tales from the Dark Side is a new series coming up by the same people who are doing Day to Day, Laurel Entertainment. It's 24 episodes, kind of like the Twilight Zone. It's half hour with these twisted endings and things. I directed one called The Closet, which will show before the November sweeps. It's really scary. And they've got a different director for the sequence. Although I was going to tell you something else about Day to Day. I mentioned yesterday that they discovered something new about zombies, and that the script is more violent and more grisly than Dawn of the Dead, if you can imagine. I mean, there's something happening every second in this Day of the Dead, script-wise. But you asked me something else. Day of the Dead. Tales from the Dark Side. It must have been something else about the zombies. I can't think of it.
The other Dawn of the Dead, guys.
Yeah. It's a lot of Dawn of the Dead t-shirts in here today.
When you were a kid, what did your parents think
My dad's 87 years old, so when I was a kid, he was like 50 or 60, and my brothers all had, their jobs, my brother was National Guard, my brother was a post office official, and another brother was in construction, another brother was studying to be a doctor. Here I was up in my bedroom slapping greasy glue and cotton sticking in my face, and running around the house with a cape on, What are you doing? Get that shit off your face, I got that a lot. I mean, today he says, you should have encouraged me because, because I was lucky enough, I guess lucky enough to have been in the right place at the right time with a portfolio, and I've gotten work, and the guys who lived on the corners in my neighborhood when I was a kid are still there if you drive by. I mean, they really are. They're much older, but they're still there. The home, they eat dinner, they go out on the corner. So he sees that, it's okay now, but then, I used to dress up as Zorro, and when it got dark, I would run out to hide in little alleys. If I saw a car coming, I would, when he was like 50 feet away, I would jump out in the middle of the street so he could see me and then take off. So I knew this guy was driving on the street, he saw Zorro in Bloomfield, Pittsburgh. I used to do some wild stuff. I jumped out of my bedroom window with an umbrella one day. And I landed in the garden so I didn't get killed. But my mother saw me go, squish into the garden. I really have done some wild, but anyway, they thought I was weird and strange.
Tom, 1776, how long did it take the Ben Franklin appliances or anything?
It took 3 hours, about 3.5 to 4 hours every night. I did a show for 10 weeks, One night the theater was locked when I got there. I just broke through the windows because I knew I had to start my makeup on this show once go on. Way back there.
Is there a lot of competition?
For what, special makeup effects?
Yeah.
In California there is. I was saying yesterday, every 4 feet there's somebody who has a portfolio and is trying to do some movies and doing it. On this coast, I don't think there's as much competition. I would say there's about 10 main guys in the world that do it. On a successful level. What? Was that a time signal from Adam back there? It was 2 fists. What does 2 fists mean? Oh, 10 fingers. Yeah.
Why do you choose to stay non-union?
Why do I choose to stay non-union? Because the unions, they cause a lot of trouble. It's because of them that we didn't get an Academy Award this year for Dick Smith, and he's in the union. And I don't have to be in the union, I don't have to live in New York or go to California, but I'm just lucky. Because my name is out, and they call me, and I go where they are, Plus, my dad lives in Pittsburgh. As long as he's there, I'll be there. I do like 1 or 2 films a year and take long vacations.
Are there enough independent films to...
Well, I don't see the advantage of being in the union. I replaced 3 times I replaced union makeup artists because they just stopped showing up to the set one day and they screwed the producers, And I would never do that. You hire me and you have me until I finish what I'm doing. And so I don't see the advantage. You don't make any more money and they don't get you work, so. Yeah, exactly.
So you get enough stuff, you're going to do another full-time.
Oh yeah. We're already playing Grand Illusions 2. Bizarro 2, whatever the publishers decide to call it.
strange. I don't really like horror films. Yeah, I like fantasies, and I don't know, different horror. Depends upon what you call a horror film. I like the Universal horror films, what were those horror films, and that they weren't so horrifying. More like fantasies. I like some of those. Well, I like George Romero's, of course. I like Dawn of the Dead. I'm stuck. I can't think of another one. At least one. It's a wonderful play.
Let's see. I like. See, I didn't read The Shining, but I like The Shining. And not that that's the top of my list because I said it first. It just came to mind. I liked The Thing, even though there got a lot of publicity about first The Thing. I didn't care about. I mean, I love the first one, but on its own merits, the new one was great. American Wealth in London. Sure, Hollywood, of course. Blood and gore stuff. Well, of course, you didn't ask me about blood and gore stuff, and to categorize them as horror films, I would say they're horror films. I think The Thing was the greatest splatter film around. Horror films. Well, of course, anything in the 50s, Invasion of the Saucer Man, Creatures from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein. The Bride of Frankenstein I watch a lot. I watch that a lot. Most of my favorite films, are not horror films, like Trapeze, Barry Lyndon, E.T., Blade Runner. Blade Runner was way up. Yeah. No, we got you. Let's get somebody new. Sorry. You didn't raise your hand? Okay. Somebody here.
What did you think of the movie Evil Dead?
Evil Dead? Yeah. I thought it was like a really great student film, amateur student film that got lucky. The suspense was you never knew what was going to happen. I like when guys are bold enough to try what they tried in the film. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it was successful, but you couldn't class it like modern day epics. Yeah. Oh yeah, there was two Halloweens ago. There was a costume store in Pittsburgh. A policeman went there to rent a costume at this costume store, and it was actually a costume store, makeup place. And they had a display in the window of a coffin and a corpse in the coffin. And the cop thought that it really looked kind of realistic, so he called the coroner in. And the coroner closed the shop down, arrested the woman, and said, as far as he's concerned, this is a dead body, a corpse in the city of Pittsburgh, and dragged her in, and she didn't know where it came from, and she bought it from another costume company. Well, it turns out there was a skeleton that I bought from Carolina Biological Supplies. It was a medical skeleton, and it had spring in the jaws and wires in the fingers, and I covered it with the old Rice Krispies and latex thing. So here's a county coroner that couldn't tell the difference between rotted flesh and latex and Rice Krispies. The publicity was incredible. This guy was newly elected. I mean, he was a brand new county coroner. So, Well, I borrowed the skeleton. I actually didn't buy it. I borrowed it from the first costume company, but they got it from Carolina Biological. And it was fully, wired and I decorated it, and when I was done, I gave it back to them, and then they sold it when they sold their costume company the new one. So anyway, there was a big stink in Pittsburgh about this. I got involved in it because I made it, It was really embarrassing for the guy. I'll get you to say.
Anything on the Breakfast at the Manchester Morgue? Was that such a movie, and then whatever happened to it? Who did it? Breakfast at the Manchester Morgue? Has anyone ever done it?
It sounds like another Italian Campbell movie that didn't have that title over here. I don't know which one.
Non-makeup projects? Well, the TV series, I saw it. The TV series thing is, I don't want to call it non-makeup, but I don't want to tell you what really goes on. I promise you, though, and this is a promise, that you have never seen anything like this on something made for TV before. So that's, again, I don't want to give it away, but it's called The Closet. Well, obviously there's something in the closet. But that's where I got to stop.
Do you think you would like to do more directing?
Yeah, I really intoxicated with directing. It wasn't just the power of things. It was you know, when you're on a set and you have all these suggestions you want to make, and you've got this schmuck they've hired as a director, and he doesn't know doodly about what your work is about. It was the first time where I had the control, and whatever I wanted was what was shot. And you know, I made sure I shot it so the editor couldn't screw it up. You know, that's what got me drunk. You know. Yeah, you didn't have a question yet. Is he directing Frankenstein? He wants to. I don't know when. In the next 3 or 4 years, he'll possibly get an opportunity to. Adam, did you say so? Is that kaputz? Is that it? Okay, one more question. Oh, 1 minute. All right, great. Quick, fast, go. Alien was scared the bejeebies out of me. And it's really hard because, you know, I watched the movie and try to watch the makeup and stuff, but Alien got me because of that thing on the guy's face. I hate bugs, because you never saw the creature, because I was high when I saw it. Yeah. I don't know where in Boston we'll be on. If you have WGN, it'll probably be on that. It's like a cable thing. I know it's at CBS, but I don't know. It's cable syndication all over the country. Yeah, quick.
Which one did you think you've done the same things last time?
He pronounces it Boteen, and I think what he did, I would never dream of doing. You know, he was so far out, I couldn't imagine. You know, and so, yeah, one more question, okay.
Okay, you said that Tales of the Dark Side was going to be shown on cable. Where's the possibility of it being shown on network TV?
It's being syndicated. I think there's a great chance because the pilot episode was on CBS, and then Lexington is the people who finance it. They got I don't know exactly what you call it, but somebody bought 24 more episodes and financed it that way. HBO might get it. There are certainly some episodes that are tame enough for TV, not mine certainly. It's really, you just wait. Okay, next question. Creepshow 2 is, I don't know where it is. It's in limbo somewhere because of all the projects that they got going.
What got you interested in makeup?
Man of a Thousand Faces, a movie that was out in the 50s, and I was 12 years old when I saw it. It's about a makeup artist, stuntman, actor. Quick. The thing? The second one, yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Is, you know, fantastic, allegorical, you know, I mean, totally unexpected. Oh, a whole bunch of different techniques. They had, if it was on the floor and stuff, the legs were shot up from below. If it was on the ceiling, it was pumped in from, you know, through the ceiling. Just any way they can possibly fool you, we'll try. Okay.
Thank you very much.